In today's video, I'll be summarizing the third chapter of the CBSE Grade 11 Geography text, Interior of the Earth. Before we learn about the interior of the Earth, we need to understand the sources that help us compile information on this topic. First, let's analyze the direct sources. We have mining, which is mostly done in places like South Africa, deep ocean drilling projects which occur in places like Kola, and volcanic eruption. Then there are the indirect sources, which include analysis of various properties of matter, meteors that crash land on Earth's surface, gravitation, magnetic field, and seismic activity. Next, let's understand what an earthquake is. Earthquake is caused by release of energy at a fault. In the Earth's interior, rock strata that is locked together tend to move and slide past each other, causing a release of energy at a point called focus, which is also known as hypocenter. This point on the Earth's surface is called epicenter. What are earthquake waves? There are two types, body waves and surface waves. Body waves are formed due to release of energy at focus that generates a new set of waves at the surface called surface waves. There are two types of body waves, P-type and S-type. P-type. These are primary waves that arrive first at the surface. They pass through solid, liquid, and gas. S-type. These are secondary waves that reach the surface later. They only pass through solids. How do these two waves propagate? P waves are parallel to vibration, therefore matter gets stretched under these waves. S waves are perpendicular to vibration, therefore it creates crests and troughs. What are shadow zones with respect to earthquake waves? These are areas where waves don't get reported. The area between 105 degree and 145 degree from the epicenter is identified as a shadow zone. When it's less than 105 degree, both waves are available, and after 145 degree, only P becomes available. What are the different types of earthquakes? Tectonic earthquakes, which are normal sliding of rocks. Volcanic, which are confined to areas of active volcanoes. Collapse earthquake, which happens in mining areas. Explosion-based earthquakes, which occur due to chemical or nuclear blasts. And reservoir-induced earthquakes. How do we measure the impact of earthquakes? There are two types of scales based on their magnitude and intensity. The magnitude scale measures the energy released. It's called Richter scale and it ranges from 0 to 10. The intensity scale measures visible damage. The scale is called Mercalli scale. Now let's break down the structure of the Earth. Crust. This is the outermost part of the Earth's surface. Thickness is about 5 km for oceanic crust and about 30 km for continental crust. The rock density is 3 grams per centimeter cube in continental area. Oceanic area density is 2.7 gram per centimeter cube. Mantle. The depth is about 2,900 km starting from Moho's discontinuity. Upper portion is called asthenosphere. Astheno means weak. Density is 3.4 gram per centimeter cube. It exists in a solid state. The crust and top part of mantle comprise of lithosphere. Core. Outer core is liquid and inner core is solid. At the boundary, core density is around 5 gram per centimeter cube, and at the center of the Earth, it's around 13 gram per centimeter cube. It's also known as knife layer due to nickel and iron presence. Volcanoes. There are different types of volcanoes. Shield, which is made of basalt. It has low explosivity. An example of a shield volcano would be Hawaiian volcanoes. These develop into cinder cone shapes. Composite volcanoes occur due to cooler lava eruptions. They have high explosivity. Large quantities of pyroclastic material gets released due to these volcanoes. The material accumulates at the vent openings, forming layers, and thus the name composite volcanoes. Caldera. These are the most explosive type of volcanoes. They collapse post-explosion, forming depressions called caldera. High explosivity is due to magma chamber being near the vent. Flood basalt provinces. These have highly fluid lava. Let's take a look at some of the volcanic landforms. Intrusive forms. Lava cools to become igneous rocks. And this lava, if it cools on the surface, it's called volcanic rocks, and if it cools in the crust, it's called plutonic rocks. When lava cools, it forms different forms called intrusive forms. The cooled portion of magma chambers that forms dome-like structures are called batholiths. These are granite structures. Laccoliths. These are similar to domes of surface volcanoes but are located in deeper depths. Lapolith, Phacolith, and silts. Lava that moves and rests in the form of a saucer shape is called lapolith. A wavy mass of rocks found at the base of synclines are called phacoliths. The near horizontal bodies of igneous rocks are called silts if they are thick and sheets if they are thin. Dikes. Lava that makes its way through fissures and cracks solidifies to form wall-like structures called dikes. They help in the development of Deccan traps. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and if you want more such videos, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you.